why did you choose the title Coming Off the Shelf for your book?
Well, for me choosing that title, God had told me to encourage the people to pick their dreams back up, because a lot of people have been through a lot of disappointments, a lot of feeling unworthy, and brokenness, and family dynamics, being divorced. And he said it causes people to be crippled and not want to pursue their dreams and bringing it to a reality. But he wanted me to encourage them that I have given you talents, and I don't need you to bury it and put it on the shelf and allow it to collect dust.
Okay, very good. And guess what? The sound popped in. Now I can hear us both. Thank God.
Oh, thank God.
But you know, that is so true. You know, trauma will cause your gifts to go underground. And so a lot of things can happen to us as children and even as adults to cause your gifts to go underground. And it's up to us to excavate them and bring them forth. So, and your book certainly challenges people to do that. So,
Yeah, you know,
what?
I add on to it too, that God wants people to leave their legacy here for their children, you know, because a lot of times we think we can't do things because of what our families sometimes didn't do. But God wants us to step out and do the thing that has never been done in our families. And so
Exactly.
crippled in that way to allow our fears, everything to paralyze us.
And another thing that happens is we become uh, symbols of victory to our children and our children's children as we leave that legacy, because the same discouragements and challenges and traumas that happen to us, the enemy is going to attempt to do the same in their life. But we show them that we are more than conquerors and that we are overcomers, and that they can go on to pursue their legacies also.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, very good. Okay, so what challenges did you encounter during your writing process? I always tell people that writing is an act of war, because God put himself in a book and he destroyed the works of the devil. And as Christian writers, Satan knows that once we put our stories, because we are his witnesses, once we put our stories in a book, it's going to continue to destroy the works of the devil. So a writer go through much warfare to release their books.
Yes, and some of my warfare was fear. Uh, I allowed fear to paralyze me, because I'm like, this is something that I had never, you know, dreamed of doing. But I know that God, he kept waking me up at 2 in the morning. And he gave me the title of the book, and he told me that I need you to write this book and compel my people to come off the shelf of depression, off the shelf, and stop allowing, you know, their trauma to be their story, because it's not their story, it's actually their beginning. And so I had to face my fears, and some of my fears was, you know, going through a divorce and thinking that, you know, that was my life story. But I found out that's not my end. It's just my beginning. It was something that I went through in life, and it's time for me to share and open up and allow people to know that there is a life after a death of a divorce, you know, because it's like death, you know, when you separate from somebody. But God has let me know that there's more to you than what happened to you and what you experienced. So I can't allow fear to paralyze me and to allow me to think that I'm unworthy or you're not good enough, or, you know, who are you to write a book? Who are you to tell somebody something? You know, we got gifts on the inside that we allow to lay dormant because we're afraid of what other people gonna think, or how they gonna express themselves, or what they think about you. But you have to be able to step out of that fear and allow God to cause your story to come alive, so that others can come off the shelf also, because there's so many people sitting on the shelf just allowing the thing that they enjoyed doing as a child inspired them to just put it up and put it in a casket and just allow it to, just be buried so deep inside of them that some people have forgotten what their dream even was. And, God wanted me to remind his people that your dreams was never meant to be on a shelf. They were never meant to be there. They was meant to inspire the world, to cause them to rise up. And sometimes, I would say, not all the time, but some things that you have inside of you can cause other people to thrive. It can cause other people to believe again, to also wanting to do what they had been thinking about doing as a child also, or even now, you know. And so my thing, I would say, do it afraid.
Yes, and you made some very good points. And I saw where Cheryl Walker put in the comments that there's a lot of family first rising up. And just because nobody in your family has went to college, nobody in your family has written a book, or nobody in your family has done this or that, it doesn't mean that you can't be the first in your family to do it.
Hey,
And I was first in my family to do many things, and the enemy is always going to be there telling you it's not good enough. I have wrote like over 100 magazine articles, and I'm in bed and the enemy attacks me and say, you should be ashamed of yourself. You wrote all those things and they're no good, they're trash, and they're out there. And I'm tossing and turning, agreeing with the enemy, saying, yeah, you're right. And then I pick up something I wrote and I read it. I said, you are a liar. I am a writer. I am a good writer. I am a great writer. And that's why I tell writers, your journey as a writer starts when you look at yourself and say, I am a writer. Because what happens, like you were saying, we'd be afraid of what would people say. And it's like, I heard my mother's voice for years saying, what would they say? What would they say? And then I grew up and I'm trying to figure out, who are they? Who are they? and now I'm to the point, I don't care who they are and I don't care what they say.
yeah,
I'm going to do what God created me to do.
yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. I'm trying to get to the questions again. It's like, how were you able to continue the writing when you were faced with those obstacles? I have some people that are writing books about their lives and their struggles, and they're afraid. They're afraid it's going to hurt other people in a negative way and things. And so, how do you write past those fears?
Um, what helped me a lot was being able to actually watch the video, your coaching helped me a lot because a lot of times you need to just say what you need to say.
Yes, that is what I teach people. Just get it
It,
out.
just don't worry about the backlash. If God has given you something to say in this world, you need to open up your mouth and you need to sound the alarm and you need to say what he's told you to say and do what he's told you to do. Because a lot of times our pain and suffering, all it's doing is redirecting our aim. And I learned that my fear is redirecting my aim to hit with precision the things that he has commanded me to do. And so what's inside of you has been put there from birth. And God is, when he was speaking to me at 2 a.m. and telling me to write a book, and I kept telling him, leave me alone because I'm the wrong person. That's what I kept saying to him. But he kept telling me, no, there's something great inside of you and I need you to bring it up, uproot what I have put inside of you. The treasures was never meant for us to take them to the grave, but a lot of people are taking all of their treasures and they burying in their grave. And God said that I'm gonna ask you, what did you do with that gift that I gave you to share with the world, that would have caused somebody to stand up, that would have caused somebody to be, aware of molestation. But because you allowed your pain to bury you and you didn't share it, somebody else is still stuck in that pain. So you can't allow your challenges of fear to dominate what God has given you, that gift. You can't allow that pain smother the gift that God has given you. Because a lot of times we allow it to cripple us. And that's what God showed me, that it was a lot of people on the shelf, and he showed me their bodies intertwined on this shelf, and they being crippled and twisted and mangled up by fear. They're mutilating themselves with fear. And fear don't do nothing but bring torment, and it doesn't allow you to proceed forward with precision, because that pain was never meant to destroy you. That pain was meant for you to grow through it and get to the other side. And when you when you get to that other side of molestation, get to that other side of depression, get to that other side of what you think about yourself. Because some of us, we have self-hatred. You know, we don't even love ourselves. And God wants us to know that I love you. And so when you deny yourself love, then you denying the love that I have for you also. So you can no longer look in that mirror and say, and pick out all of the faults, finding all of the bad things about yourself. This book is to encourage you to come off that shelf, stay out of that mirror, just taking and picking yourself apart when God has made you beautiful. You can't allow that fear to paralyze every part of you. And I know I'm a witness to that. That was one of my challenges, you know, not wanting to be seen, not wanting to be heard, because you don't think you're worthy enough, because of those silent touches that you received as a child. You know, the devil put take a piece of metal and seem like put it over your mouth, put you in that casket, and you always trying to dig your way out, but never seem to rise to the top, because you haven't dealt with the root issue of who you are in Christ. It's not what happened to you. It is who he says that I am. And I had to learn to receive that and not allow those challenges and insecurities to dominate the gift of God, the reality that I am wonderfully and fearfully made.
Do you have your book that you can show it?
Oh my God, I don't even have it. I got
I was
it.
looking for
Oh
your book to show it and I couldn't find it either, but
my God.
Coming Off the Shelf by Patricia Sims Morse. And okay, when you do an interview, always have your book, okay? And so, something you said about how fear will silence us and put a muzzle over our mouth,
Yeah,
where that's what the enemy comes for, is our voice. He
yes,
comes for our words. You
yes,
know, in the Bible, the angels, God says, the angel said, I come for your words, so that he can follow out the instructions when we speak what God speaks. And so when we speak fear, Satan comes for our
yes.
words, so he can carry out the fear that we are expressing over our lives. So yes, it's time not to be muzzled by fear anymore, because what I tell people, yeah, children are victims, but adults are volunteers if you allow yourself to continue to be victimized. But as an adult, we can rediscover our voice and we can release what God has given us. One of the most powerful sermons that I heard, someone said, when you look in the mirror, God is giving you a picture of the person that he wants you to encourage. And that is so true. I worked mental health for over 30 years, and people would be telling me their stories. And then when I would share just a piece of my testimony, because they wouldn't believe that I had been through anything, like, okay, I'm untouched by the travesties of this life, and they would not believe the things that I had been through.
Mm-hmm.
But I was able to touch them at their point of pain, because I've been there. I
Yeah,
knew. And so it's a powerful thing when you share your story. And it doesn't matter how many stories like yours are out there. I have one writer, she said God told her to write a book, and she's recovering from drug addiction. But she said she looked and saw all these people writing about recovering from drug addiction. So she said, who needs my book?
yeah,
But there's somebody out there that's only going to receive it and get it when they hear your voice, your
yeah,
words.
yes,
That's why it's important for us to to release whatever God puts in front of us or inside of us. And I just want to thank everyone for joining. Again, I'm interviewing Patricia Sims Morris, and she's the author of Coming Off the Shelf, and it's available on Amazon. Tell us what other forms your books are available in.
It's also available in the Spanish edition, and tomorrow also it will be on the shelves in Lightberry, so you also can go and check it out in the Lightberry. And so you also can inbox me if you need a copy. Also, just inbox me.
It's also available in Kindle and hardcover. So she has the soft cover and the hardcover.
Correct.
And so what group of people do you feel will benefit by reading your book?
I believe people that are struggling with depression, of being stuck in any area of your life, whether it's family dynamics, because sometimes our family dynamics, sometimes we struggle in who we are in the family, because sometimes you don't feel that you are part, and
Okay.
that struggle in a way that they don't even know who they are in the family. Are they as important as the firstborn, or or the lastborn? But God wants you to know that there's nobody just like you. You are unique and you wonderfully made. You're different, and I believe my book also reaches people that are stuck with grief, that don't know how to move forward from that. They just stuck. They just have laid their love on the shelf, vowed never to love again because they've been hurt in divorce, or maybe that person that proposed to you, changed their mind, but we got to keep moving forward and know that there's life in everything that has touched us, and that life brings forth light, and that light cannot be hidden in the darkness. It shines in the darkness. It illuminates the darkness. And so anything that you've been through, it wasn't for you to put on a shelf and put a lid on it and say, you know what, I just vowed never to get married again, or I vowed to just close my mouth because of, as Auntie Jeannie said, favoritism, because a lot of people deal with that in the family. It's jealousy in the family, that has caused people to be paralyzed, that them to feel like how Joseph felt, that he went through that, where his family was jealous of him, threw him in a pit. And some of us in a pit of our mind, we in a jail cell because we feel like, well, what would my family think if I step out, or what, would they accept? But you got to understand that God accepts you. And even in the pit, everything that Joseph touched, God blessed. And so even in your pit experience, God is going to bring you through, and you're going to be on the other side of that. I just feel like it'd be from the pit to the palace. Yeah.
Right. And in your book, you have shared that you had some physical challenges even before writing your book. So I would say that people who are going through physical struggles would definitely benefit from your book, as well as those that are caught in a spiritual drought. It's a very good book. And the other thing I want to add is I see that some of you in the broadcast have the book. So I want to challenge you all to leave a review on Amazon, on Facebook, because people purchase my books and they send me inboxes and say, oh yeah, I loved your book, and they tell me how it touched their lives. But I know that, but they don't tell anybody else. So the greatest thing you can do for an author is to share your reaction to the book on Amazon, on Facebook, so other people can, can know that it's a good book.
Yeah.
And so if you got any of my books, I need your reviews. If you got this book, please do leave a review for Patricia.
And
All right.
if you can share, because people, need to know that, you know, the book is out there, you know, coming off the shelf, even though you already have it. If you share this interview even now, you know, it can bless somebody's life to know that they don't have to follow in depression, you know, that, you know, even after you done had a stroke, because I'm a witness that God can, he can revive your body, you know, from those physical challenges. Sometimes I still have to deal with that even in the winter time of, you know, sometimes having challenging exercising or doing the things that I used to do. I have to kind of taper down on certain things, but I'm still here by the grace of God, and I don't look like what I've been through. Most people don't even know I had a stroke. You know, most people don't know that I had to, you know, use a porta potty for a minute. You know, that's real life. You know, when life happens to you, it's no reason to close the door and say that I'm not going to continue to live, but it challenges you to get up and keep moving forward. So we got to be able to be challenged to know that, you know, that there's life after every experience. And all it does is give God an opportunity to prove himself to you, that he is God, that he is your healer, that he is the one that can restore. He a restorer of your soul and of your body, of your mind. You know, I remember, and I wrote about in the book, even about grief, you know, with losing, you know, any loved one. That's a hard thing to go through. And especially when you praying. And what happens when God don't give you what you pray for? Do you close the door? Do you continue, you know, to seek him? Do we continue to worship him? Or do we just shut down? You know, and I have been there where, you know, I didn't even want to be depressed, but I was depressed because a lot of times we want our loved ones to stay here, but in reality, all of us is going to leave here one day. And the point is, what are you going to leave behind? Treasures are you going to leave behind for others to pick up? You know, but they be able to still read your life and be able to, you know, as the one in the Bible, can these bones yet live? Yes, they can. They can be restored from a stroke, you know, from divorce, from those physical challenges, from mental challenges, you know. Loss is a real thing, and grief is real, and depression is real, and people are going through so much brokenness and so much hurt that they need what's inside of you. Just like I didn't believe my book can inspire others, but I believe that this book was downloaded from God because he gave me what to write, how to write it. And then when I connected with Jerry, she told me, just say it, you know, because I times over and over, because sometimes you think you're not heard. And I know where it comes from. Sometimes you're not heard as a child, and sometimes you will continue to repeat and think, well, I got to say this and I got to say it this way so that I can be heard. I wonder if I was heard. I wonder, you know, am I important? You know, your words is important. And a lot of us out here are, you know, smothering that dream, and we need to release it so that somebody else can be released from their trauma.
Well, I was going to ask you if you wanted to read a portion of your book, but you don't have your book to read a portion? Okay, then what advice do you have for someone who desires to become an author?
I would say connect with a good coach. And I have to say, y'all, I'm biased. Yes, I am. Um, when I connected with her, I know it was a God thing. I told her that, you know, I wanted her to be real with me, and she was. You know, she told me the truth about my book. She told me, you know, some things that needed to be changed in there. You need somebody that is going to be honest with you and that would inspire you at the same time, and that also would give you the skills that you need to continue to write even here and after. Because I can go back and watch those videos. So I would say that you need a good coach, as long as a good editor to go with it, and she's both of them. And I believe that she can help you to bring out what you are trying to say to inspire others, cause somebody else to thrive from your book. So I would say get a good coach editor, and Jerry Darby, You can start with her if you would like, if God is leading you that way. But if not, that's what you would need, somebody to help you get started. And I would believe if you continue to seek God, he will give you what to write on those pages.
And I would add to that that you would need, and thank you for that, for your kind words and stuff. And the videos that Pat is referring to is like the coaching clients that I work with. I share 3 videos on how to make your writing more engaging. Like, and she was saying, just say it. One of them is called Just Say It, rather than using a lot of empty words, how to get right to the point. And it's different writing strategies in each of the videos. But the other thing that you need is a commitment and a determination. Because I know that when you were writing, it was like you would make me tired just talking about your schedule. You were going to school, taking care of your mother, doing the daycare, it's going to church and the choir. It's like, oh my God, how can you do all that stuff? And you were yet writing. So you need a determination,
Yeah,
because it's going to take a commitment to get through the
yeah, I
process,
agree.
especially with all the distractions that are going to come your way, because Satan is going to make sure that you get distractions.
Yeah,
That's why some people books end up on the shelf for 20 years or more, because they get wrapped up in the distractions. And I have to say that you didn't allow anything, you didn't allow anything to distract you. You just kept on moving. It was no sickness, no commitment came before writing your book.
Amen.
And I commend you for that.
Thank you. I tell you, it was God. And many people don't know all of my story, but Jerry does. And just to share a little bit of it, even though I was diagnosed with cancer, with breast cancer, a year ago, and I didn't even allow that to stop me from moving forward. And I just thank God for the prayers of the righteous, and for God miracle that he bestowed on my life, because I'm so grateful that he told me, he says, you have to finish. You have to finish and allow this to stop you, because somebody needs to hear what's in this book. I did not give it to you for you to use an excuse of, oh, because this happened to me, now I can't move forward. I couldn't use why. Why did this happen to me? Because, sometimes people like to say, use excuses. And at my church, my pastor always say excuses is a crutch. It's just a crutch to keep us in bondage. And so I didn't allow me being diagnosed to stop me. God said, I told you to deliver this into the earth, and I need you to release it. So I would encourage others to release what God has given you in the face of adversity. Do not stop. Continue to move forward, straight ahead. Don't stop. No matter what the enemy throw at you, you are more than a conqueror. He has given, if he told you that there's books inside of you, he told you that for a reason. At first I started to doubt, because I'm like, God, why do I have this? Why did this happen to me? My mother don't have it. Like, why am I experiencing this? And God said, it's not the why. It's not about the why. It's about, how are you going to be intentionally moving forward from here? Are you going to allow this to suffocate what I put inside of you? He said, you shall live and not die, and proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord. And then he allowed me to see a rainbow over my house, which gave me hope. The day I was diagnosed, I drove home, I pulled in the driveway, and there was a big rainbow. And it just let me know that his promises, they reign true. He don't back up off his promises, no matter what the enemy throws our way. He is still God at the end of the day. He's still going to bring you out. And I don't know who this is for, and I don't know who's struggling with any diseases that may have caused you to become weak and fragile and maybe shook your belief system, because I can't say that I wasn't afraid, because I had a moment of fear. I had all kind of emotions like, God, what you doing? You told me to write a book, and then you wanted me to put it out there, but you don't want me to put it out there because I'm not finished. But he allowed me to finish, and he's given us insight of mercy and grace causes us to do what we cannot do in ourselves. And I was able to move forward. Some days I didn't feel like it, with tears rolling down my eyes because I didn't understand. But God told me, this is not unto death. It's not unto death. It's for somebody else to know that they're going to live and they're going to come off the shelf of their sickness and disease, and know that, what? Somebody needs to hear about this. Somebody needs to know that you can live, and there's life after a diagnosis. There's life. I'm living witness and living proof that God, he will do the impossible in the mission that he has required for you to do, and the assignment that he has given you to do. So I know that he has an assignment for me to do on this earth, because I'm still here. And he has brought me off that shelf of even talking about it, because the devil had put a muzzle on my mouth to say, I got so quiet because I didn't understand that storm. I didn't understand the storm. And I said, you told me to come off the shelf, and then you're going to take me, through this. I understand. And I didn't even know if I was going to make it through it, because some days it was tough. It was tough.
Yeah, I just want to say you were amazing through that journey, and such an inspiration to me, because I know that you were moving in a supernatural strength that was not your own. So it was very encouraging to see that, your determination and the faithfulness of God on your behalf. And so I want to ask you, is there anything else that you would like to add?
I would say, hold on to your faith in the midst of times, even
I'm
when it gets.
still looking for your book.
Hold on to your faith, because in the midst of dark times is when we begin to grow, and
Mhm.
God causes us to thrive. When it looks like it's over, it's not. And I just want you to know that when you come off the shelf and begin to pick up what God told you to carry, that torch, and to pass that baton on, then you're going to see that God, you was with me through that whole thing. Even in that fire, I picture myself like the Hebrew boys in that fire furnace, and there was another in there, and the fourth in there was Jesus. He was with me. He was with me, and he's with you. And I want you to know that you are more than a conqueror, and you can do it. You can do all things through Christ that strengthens you. You can do it.
Now, I want to ask you, do you have a book signing? I want to say that I'm part of the authors and Kroger's that do book signing. We're able to do book signings in Michigan in the Kroger stores that participate. And so Patricia has signed up for this program also. And so look for her in your local Kroger stores and do support her. And so I want to ask, do you have a book signing coming up tomorrow? I'm not sure.
I believe so. It's gonna be tomorrow at 7 o'clock. It's I'm gonna make sure that I put it on Facebook. I'm still working particulars, and so I still have to touch bases with the person at the Lightberry, and so to confirm it.
Okay.
It's,
So she's going to be confirming
yeah.
a book signing at the Bridgeport Library, but wait until you see her announcement on Facebook as confirmation for tomorrow at 7
Yes,
p.m. And so I want to thank you, Patricia, for sharing your heart and your story about your book. But just remember, next time you do an interview,
yes,
have your book available. And I apologize because I looked everywhere for your book. And again, this is a very uplifting book, even during the formatting and editing process of this book. I was always uplifted. And when I said I was going to do this interview, I said, I got to pull that book out and look at it again because it's so encouraging. And again, my name is Jerry Darby, and I'm your I Am a Writer Now coach and author services. And if you would like a 20-minute consult to discuss your writing journey or your book, you can call me at 989-402-4721. And again, that's 989-402-4721. And if you're struggling with where to start on your first book, I do have a resource written for writers. If you can see it, it's called Starting Points for New Writers, a guide to jumpstart your book. I always forget the name of it. But this will help you outline your book and to get started. It has tips in it for developing your chapters. It has tips in it for editing, the self-editing process, and other stuff that will help you to target and focus your book. I'm going to leave a link in the comments, and I have a 20% off at my online store for any books that you order up until October the 31st. So again, thank you again for joining our Facebook Live. You can inbox Patricia if you want to get her book, and it's also available on Amazon. Do you have any final words?
I would just say, do it afraid. Don't allow fear to paralyze you and cut you off by your leg and allow your destiny not to thrive. Do it afraid.
All right, then. Well, thank you so much, everyone that joined us in the audience. We will go back and read your comments and reply, but I just want to thank you for your support and look forward to authors chats with other authors that are going to be coming up soon. All right, thank you. Goodbye.